Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. I'm Sonia Astudillo, Senior Asia Pacific Communications Officer for Gaia Asia Pacific, and welcome to the ZWA's Asia Newsroom. We are reporting from Nairobi, Kenya, as we bring you the latest news and updates on the third intergovernmental negotiations, or the INC-3, on the Plastics Treaty. From November 13 to 20 in Nairobi, Kenya, this significant event provides a chance for us in the Global South, particularly those affected most by the plastic crisis, to voice our demands for a strong, inclusive, and binding global plastics treaty. To bring us exclusive updates and coverage of the negotiations, we have Gaia Asia Pacific's Plastic Policy Officer, Arpita Bagat. Hi, Arpita.
Hello.
So, Arpita, it's great to have you here with us today. Before we dive into the specifics, could you share with us the difference in organizing this INC-3 compared to the one held in Paris last June?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of difference actually. The last INC was 5 day long, preceded by only one regional meetings, if I'm not wrong. This INC is actually 7 days of meetings. That means substantial discussion will happen during this time. Discussion and agreement on bureau elections, voting, adoption of agenda, venue, and all of that. But what's also important for this particular INC that was requested by civil society is there was 1 day preparatory meeting that was held on November the 11th, which was followed by November 12th with a regional meeting where regions come together and hold their strategy discussions. And this time around, also we didn't have access as Asia Pacific. That's something that we are working towards already. And as we go into the actual INC discussion that started on Monday, we had Monday, which was the plenary day, where statements were invited on the zero draft and opening statements from member states, and there were so many. Tuesday, we also had some more statements coming in, and it was around the afternoon that we started going into contact groups. And yesterday went on, in fact, the day 2 of INC officially went on till 10 p.m. with contact groups 2 and 3 in the morning till evening 6 p.m. and contact group 1 on core obligations and objectives going on till 10 p.m. And today we just finished first round. Pre-lunch, we had contact group 2 discussion, which was on means on implementation. Yesterday, we discussed financial mechanism. Today, we discussed technology transfer, capacity building, and technical assistance. And this afternoon, after I go from here, I will rejoin contact group 2. Contact group 3 discussions also happened this morning. And in the evening, that means 3 to 6 schedule time, Nairobi, we will have continuing of discussion on contact group 1. And of course, this all depends on the progress that we have made. Tomorrow, on Thursday, there will be plenary where the outcomes of contact groups would be discussed. And just to remind our viewers, our members, our audience that plenary discussions, plenary meetings are available to watch online. You can visit the UNEP site. Our membership were provided with the links as well. And I think for anyone who is interested on what countries are talking, what are the key sort of bottlenecks, as well as the key success and convergence points, you can refer to plenary and you can watch them online and you can ask us questions, if any, and we'll be here to answer the Gaia Asia Pacific team, I mean. Back to you, Sonia.
Okay, so it's only day 3, no? But a lot of things have happened already. So could you provide more insights into the current priorities and focal points that are emerging from the Asia Pacific region in regards to the treaty discussions?
Well, I would like to remind ourselves that we cannot discuss in public what happens in contact groups. We can only discuss what happens in plenary. No media from contact groups should be shared. And I repeat that because I know a lot of the membership is here. I'm very excited that we have just about all of our key countries where we have membership present here from Asia Pacific, which has been absolutely fabulous. in terms of what's happened, well, today's day 3, Sonia, but it feels like day 5 because we've been meeting our member states, we've been talking to them, we've been having different kinds of meetings since Saturday. So it's technically day 3. I think the great thing about this INC is that we have not wasted time on reopening rules of procedure and specifically talking about Rule 37 or Rule 38, which was closed. The chair invited the member states to discuss the matter regards to Rule 38.1, specifically, if you remember, on decision making via majority voting, to happen informally through a Friends of the Chair group. This will happen intersessionally, which is great. That means our focus this time is on substantial matters. What seems to be the key contention now, and if anyone who is here with me could also talk to you, will share that a lot of the countries are talking about understanding where does the life cycle of plastic begin. And as we know, as civil society, as academia, as folks who've been working on plastics on the ground for many, many years now, the plastic life cycle begins at extraction. It does not begin at production or polymerization. It does not begin at consumption. It begins at extraction of fossil fuels. So really right now, I think the main battle we have to fight is to push member states to understand that the plastic life cycle and really the scope, the mandate of UNEA 5 from UNEA 5.2 on Resolution 5/14 is about plastic life cycle through a comprehensive approach, right? And we need to keep reminding that to our member states, to ourselves, that it is really the full life cycle, the whole life cycle of plastics that we are here for, because a treaty which does not prioritize, which does not put real onus on upstream measures and upstream binding measures is going to be pointless. I'm not going to say it's going to fail, it's just going to be pointless. All of the resources, all of the energy, all of the thinking that we are spending through starting with the UNEA process till now at INC-3 is completely pointless if this treaty does not mandate upstream reduction in production. So I hope that's helpful. Back to you.
Okay, thanks, Arpita. So we also had a media briefing where organizations from the Global South emphasized the need for a plastic treaty that is inclusive and addresses the unique challenges of the Global South. Can you delve into the specifics of these key demands?
Well, I feel like as Asia Pacific and our membership is so much more equipped to talk about that. I feel like I am still a newbie when it comes to this work. We have decades of work to speak for the need for stopping waste colonialism in the Global South, and our recent video release that highlights this really the injustice caused due to this to the Global South, whether it's Latin America, Asia, or Africa, is being covered through the different materials we have been doing. So of course we need to stop that. We need to have a ban on that. But over and above that, of course, we need cuts in production. We need chemical transparency. We need to preserve human health and rights and justice in the objective of the treaty to ensure that whatever comes out of it is really in line with those values. We need a treaty, of course, that also puts in place strong just transition core obligation, which is defined in collaboration and coordination with what the Global Alliance for Waste Pickers has been demanding. We need to protect the sovereignty of the indigenous peoples, their rights, their demands. We need to ensure no regrettable substitutes, because we don't want to be in a situation where you are moving away from plastics over time, and that's a big if, to regrettable substitutes, and which causes more land degradation or promotes monocropping, promotes chemical exploitation of our soils and harming our ecosystems overall through things like bio-based, oxo-degradable, and all of those plastics, which we know, our membership knows, are false solutions. And of course, last but not the least, we are the Global Alliance for Incineration Alternatives. We do not want incineration. We do not want chemical recycling. We do not want pyrolysis. We do not want to burn. We do not want the solutions, so-called industry-backed solutions that keeps things business as usual and diverts attention from the real issue, which is production cuts and also worsens the issue of the pollution that we have, not just to our lands, but to our soils, to our people's health, and to our air. Sonia?
Okay. So, Arpita, how is this INC different from the previous INC? Is it going smoothly? Are we more confident this time?
It's a very interesting question, and I feel like I have partly touched upon it. So the battle we had at INC2 was very different from what we have right now. And it's interesting in a lot of different ways when you think about it. But I think specifically, rules of procedure is not going to be the battle now. Although we were very prepared to deal with it, we prepared with all sorts of ammunition that was needed. But what the battle would be now is what really is the scope of this treaty, in the sense that what really is plastic life cycle and how we are able to push action upstream. And I think there's a lot of hope in the African region. There's a lot of hope in the Pacific Islands region, SIDS, Fiji in particular, Samoa, and so many different states, in New Zealand, in a lot of other countries who are supporting and demanding really a treaty which mandates sort of reduction cuts, and also talking about specific targets and baselines, and the need for intersessional work, which puts the scientific subsidiary body in place, so that really the work that should have started after INC2 can really begin now, because a treaty of this monumental weight requires a lot of work. Plastics are complicated substances. And I was talking to some of the delegates who were saying that plastics is literally anything, in everything, in the clothes that you wear to the airplanes that you travel in. And really, this treaty could fundamentally support the transition towards that. And I think the debate on plastics are necessary for healthcare or all of that is kind of not the point really, because we know that the majority of plastics production, the majority of plastics use, as well as the majority of exposure that happens is through the packaging plastic sector, which accounts for more than 40% of the total plastic, which can easily be sort of banned immediately. And so many countries, including in Asia Pacific, have been testing it through single-use plastic ban. But we also need to ensure that the toxic chemicals, and just about 13,000 chemicals are added to different kinds of plastics, are prevented from harming our bodies. So I know I'm talking too much, but I think I'm saying the same thing that our membership already knows. So back to you.
So lastly, before we conclude, what events are we expecting today?
We have a bunch of side events happening at hosted under INC side events. We have the Waste Pickers event at the Brazilian embassy right now. That some of the members, including member states, are there, and I am very encouraged by the interest in waste pickers' rights and justice from Asia Pacific countries. Towards that, we also have the reuse event hosted by BFFP, which is, I believe, tomorrow. That will also be the launch. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I think we had so many events past weekend. On Sunday, we had an event with WWF and so many others, where we had the Sikihor governor speak, which was absolutely, along with the governor of New Orleans, and she spoke very well about the bans and making the island plastic free. And I was just, and she gave a shout out to Gaia for the work that we have done today. Okay, correction, the BFFP event is today at 5. Sorry about that, it's an hour-long event. It was just a very proud moment for me personally, as a new Gaia person, to witness the power of the movement, the work that has been done for decades. So shout out to this movement from my end in demonstrating that a world without plastics is possible. So if you've not seen those, I'm sure we have the statement. I'm sure we have the images for you to also revisit. And this just goes on to speak a lot to the fact that, having our leaders and having our members on these global stages is so important to to create the power that is needed for countries in Asia Pacific, for members in Asia Pacific to have. Yeah, back to you, Sonia.
Okay, so the Break Free from Plastic event will feature Zero Waste Europe and Plastic Diet Indonesia. We're just curious to know, is there growing interest on or support for the reuse system?
Yeah, absolutely. There is growing support. I think this year in particular, we've seen a lot of interest coming out from reuse solutions. I think the concern, and I think the with every good, there is always something to be careful about. Is how reuse is understood in how it is applied, and as we know, we are not talking about reuse of plastics, but reuse systems that need to be put in place that have been tested. We are talking about schemes that promote buyback and schemes which promote refill. And I'm sure there is so much more evidence that is coming in from Asia, from our members specifically in Indonesia, Philippines, and I think also from the work of waste pickers in India. And I'm not sure if the event is live, but if you can view it and if you can amplify the call for reuse and reuse as systems and not reuse as products or which are replacement of plastic, that would be something that we all should think about and take part in.
Thank you so much, Arpita. And of course, thank you so much for the emphasis on reuse system, not reuse of plastic. So thanks, Arpita, and see you again on November 17th for our next round of Zero Waste Asia Newsroom updates. That's all for now, but we will continue to follow the developments and bring you the latest news and calls from Gaia Asia Pacific through the Zero Waste Asia News Break. So thank you so much for joining and have a good day and good evening.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good day ahead. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.